Hello for the podcast Macabre Challenge, week number 5. I watched Tales from the Hood, and the prompt was written and directed by a BIPOC, person of color. And yeah, no, this fucking movie rules, dog. I love Tales from the Hood. I love anthologies in general, whether it be a book, whether it be a movie, whether it be a show. I love anthologies, and Tales from the Hood is one of the best anthologies I've ever seen. There isn't a single thing that doesn't hit, honestly. Like this all four stories it shows is I wouldn't have done anything different, and it's just like this movie in all fronts just does not let up. It's always doing something. It's always doing something creative, or the performances are really great, or the idea in the first place is just brilliant, and it just does not stop. It's a train that keeps on going. Um, I I'm just gushing about this movie, honestly, but I really loved it from the fucking beginning, from the framing device. It's such a great framing device. For those who don't know, Tales from the Hood, as the title suggests, are a series of little stories from the black community, and all this has a very classic like uh pulpy horror comic, like the Crypt Keeper type of setup, and I just loved it. And the Crypt Keeper in this scenario is Mr. Sims, a mortuary, a mortuary's owner. So like, and he's played by. Let me look it up real quick. He is played by Rusty Cundiff, and he does beautifully. He also writes his movie, and he is such a great present in this. He eats up every piece of scenery he is in, and the framing device is a bunch of drug dealers come to him to purchase some drugs from him, and it goes that Mr. Sims stumble upon these drugs and are returning it to, and are selling it to the drug dealers. Mr. Sims, he himself is not a drug dealer, and he creeps everyone out, all these three drug dealers, and of course, he is the one that's gonna tell our stories. And the first story is probably my favorite. It's about an instance of police racial abuse, wherein a council member, a black rights activist council member, was killed and set up as a drug overdose by some corrupt cops. And our main character here is a black police officer who let that happen, who saw it and let it happen. And so after a year, with the help of that black policeman, he helps the spirit of this Black's Right activist named Morehouse. He helps the soul of Morehouse to get his revenge to to these racist cops, and it was a brilliant. Just the climax of this is pretty brilliant. The scene in it of itself is really hard to watch. A lot of this movie is really hard to watch, but not in a gratuitous way. It's just the subject matter here is just you it's a very tough watch sometimes, and what these cops did to Morehouse is one of the harder things to sit through, but not the hardest. That's gonna come up later. And so yeah, it's some really good makeup here, some really good creative kills here, and I'm not gonna spoil how it ends, but I think the fate of one of the characters is very well deserved. Um, of course, fucking what happened to the racist cops is well deserved, but besides that, what happens to this character is very well put, and it points overall to this movie just being a lot smarter than what Tales from the Hood can imply. It's again, it's like those old pulpy horror comics. Yeah, it's kind of trashy, it's pulpy, but there is substance there, and I think what happens to this character just proves the nuance here. And then the next story is Boys Do Get Bruised, um, which surrounds, again, this is another one that's kind of hard to watch because it surrounds domestic abuse and a kid who has the magical power to uh, draw something into reality, draw something into reality. And the teachers of this boy notice that he comes to school every day with stitches, and he says that it's the monster that's doing it. And obviously, we know what that means. The teacher knows what that means, and yeah, he has an abusive father. And the his drawing, uh, from which reality springs forth, uh, is his coping mechanism. And this one, I again, I don't want to spoil any of these, but I love the ending of this. Just the effects, particularly, are really good. But again, this is a really tough one to watch specifically, and so yeah, there we go. Next story is about a racist uh, politician who is who I think, let me check. Yeah, he was a former member of the KKK, and he is running for governor of his state. And his whole thing is he doesn't want to give reparations. Reparations for African Americans. He isn't up for that. He himself didn't own slaves. Why should he be paying for those mistakes? Blah blah blah. And of course, he is very racist, and he gets the help of a black man to be his campaign manager, and he lives in an old plantation house, uh, where there was a legend where, um, after the Civil War, the owner of the plantation didn't let his slaves free, so he massacred each and every one of them. And then legend goes that their spirits are trapped within dolls now, and no one knows where those dolls are. But and a voodoo witch put it in those dolls, and the dolls are there somewhere. And so that's the legend. And again, I'm not gonna spoil. People die. You do see those dolls in their glorious stop motion beauty, and yeah, it ends up being really great. And again, this is another. It points to it being a much more nuanced conversation on race, on specifically reparations. And yeah, really, really great watch. And this is the most like uh, explicitly scathing critique of America. I mean, this whole movie is a critique of America and what they do to African Americans, but this one in particularly is like America did something, America has to pay, stuff like that. And so yeah, again, a really really great one, a really fun one. There's a lot of really funny lines here, and again, I love that stop motion. Next story is the hardest story to watch. It involves a gangster and who has killed so many people, and he gets caught right after gunning down, uh, after committing a murder. He gets caught by the police, and he gets imprisoned, and he gets put into this um, experimental what's the thing? Rehabilitation, experimental rehabilitation method, wherein he is put next to, like, the first off, he's put next to a white supremacist, and then he uh criticizes the scientist. Why did you put me here with a white supremacist? And the white lady says, didn't you don't you kill more black lives than this white supremacist? And it's like it's a whole critique on black violence. And it all culminates into this uh really harrowing sequence, where he is exposed to both uh, fictional violence against black people and legitimate real life videos and photos of uh, violence against black Americans. And this is the toughest thing to watch. You're just forced there to sit and just watch this montage, and it is grueling, and it's powerful, but it is grueling to sit through all that. And it is very very effective. And again, I'm not gonna spoil what happens here, but what happens here leads directly to how this thing ends, which again has its own twist. These movies always have some sort of the twist, anthologies with a framing device, and it's really well executed, and it's really scary. Like, it's pretty horrifying, how this ends. And yeah, I love pulpy horror comics, anthology type things. and this is just one of the best. This is the best horror anthology movie I have ever seen so far, and it does what horror needs to do, where it speaks more about our world and our existence. And as literature majors, I eat this fucking shit up, and it's really, really good. And I recommend it so much. This is an absolute horror must see. This is a classic. This is the best one I've seen so far. And yeah, go ahead, watch Tales from the Hood. It's worth your time.